But
Yeah.
we can't force things in life. If something is not for you, it's just not for you. It could just be not that it's not for you. It could just be that the timing is not God's timing. We're trying to operate in something that's not yet for us.
Yo, what's going on, fam? This is your boy K Noel. Look, I'm excited for this interview. Look, the person that I'm about to interview now, she has been on, heck, she's been on every season. I want to say, if I'm wrong, she's gonna correct me. But hey, you already know how we do. It's gonna be another fire episode. Relentless Conversations. Let's go. Let's hit the intro.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, I got to be a beast and be like 1, 2, 3. I'm hot, watch me unleash and it go 1, 2, 3. When you know that you the best out, chest out. I'm saying I got now, forget the rest now. 1, 2, 3, I got to be a beast and be like 1, 2, 3. I'm hot, watch me unleash and it go 1, 2, 3. When you know that you the best out, chest out. I'm saying I got now, forget the rest now. I rap with the soul of Frankie Beverly, amazed on these graceful beats, forever heavenly. There'll never be none after me unless we talking let us see, but let us see. Begin on high notes like I'm lettuce. It's the real dreamer and artist formerly known as.
Yo, what's going on, fam? It's your boy K Noel. Yo, shout out to my bro Dr. Emmanuel Little, aka Manny Voices. Yo, check this out. So on this episode, we got another great episode. I'm excited to introduce her. She is not only a friend, but she's someone I call my sister. 20 plus years. If ain't nobody gonna get me right, she'll put me in my place at times. So I mean, but it's also mutual. So I would like to introduce none other. I'll call her by her whole name just because she called me by my full name on her episode. But that's neither here nor there. But y'all, welcome my sis Tree. Yo, what's going
Yo,
on?
yo, what's up, Kenneth?
You got jokes. So how's everything around your way?
You know what? Life's been trash, and I can't remember if I can curse on here or not. So I'll just say life has been trash.
I got you. I got you. I think this is actually the first episode where with you that we're actually having a conversation. And I've been transitioning the podcast anyway, but usually it's you delivering a message to the people in which we still delivering y'all value. But I really wanted y'all to see her in another light too. So I'm gonna start off this, and this is a question that kind of gets everybody. Who is Tree the LPC? Who is the person before the person we're seeing today?
Yeah, I feel like that question is so loaded, but Tree is a complicated individual. She is someone who just was dealt a very interesting deck of cards from a very young age and had to learn how to adapt. She's someone that grew up in an impoverished neighborhood. She grew up being raised by her paternal great grandmother as well as her paternal great aunt. And she struggled a lot with depression, anxiety, anger. She just struggled with trying to find out how she fit in this world. She struggled and struggles with not feeling like she's enough and not feeling like she's worthy at times because of the things that she's experienced throughout her life. And so she's a person with a lot of pain that she carries from day to day, but she's learned to use that pain to help drive her to help other people. So I would say that at the core, she is a hurt little girl that is still learning how to navigate through life and learning to love herself unconditionally in spite of the things that she's faced.
Wow, to quote one of my favorites, Tupac, my pain is to shed my pain is to shed more smiles than tears.
Mm,
So you said about the cards that was handed to you.
yeah.
How do you deal with? Because I mean, I'm realistic that we still face different trials each day. So how do you face, becoming the person that you are now on that journey? How have you conquered? How have you overcame some of those different them different trials, those different obstacles. Let's say obstacles.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I did was I realized what I was dealing with. Like, people always saw my anger as a child. They just saw it as, oh, she's bad. She's just this bad kid. She just wants to be destructive. She wants to, always get in trouble. And they didn't see my acting out as me dealing with my abandonment. And so I wanted to understand myself. So when I was in like very young age, like middle school, I really kind of started exploring careers, because the one thing that set me apart, even as bad as I was growing up, the one thing that set me apart was I really highly loved education. And I recognized at an early age that education would be the thing that helped save me and get me out of my circumstances. And so I realized around sixth, seventh grade that I really was interested in being a therapist, a counselor. Initially, it was like a psychologist, because I wanted to, one, understand myself, but I also wanted to be able to help other kids navigate through the things that life kind of dealt with them. And so a lot of it was like taking a psychology class in high school and really learning about how our childhood experiences and how the things that we go through kind of shape who we are. And so I really just poured all of my energy into learning and doing well at school so that I could escape my circumstances. That involved me getting a job at a very young age, because I knew that I had to do something to better take care of myself, because my grandmother and my aunt, one was on SSI, one was on disability. And so it was just kind of seeing other people experience things that I wanted to experience, and then wanting to understand myself. And that's really what led me on my path to becoming a therapist, and really, being able to put myself in a position to not only, change the hand that I was dealt, but to learn how to play that hand to the best of my ability so that I could excel in life.
So, how exactly did you play that hand?
Yeah. It's very simple. Like, I learned what I needed to do, and I did those things. I went and I got a job at a very young age. I excelled in school. I took AP classes. I did everything that I knew I needed to do in order to be able to get into college. And once I got into college, that was my escape. Like I always say, people from where I'm from, which is Troup County, Georgia, we call it Trap County. But people from where I'm from, there's only three ways out. You go to the military, you go to college, or you go into jail or the grave, one of those things. And so for me, college was my outlet. And when I went to college, I took advantage of things like the Hope Scholarship. I took advantage of things like the Pell Grant, because I was low income and I qualified for a lot of things that some of my maybe the other people that I grew up with didn't qualify because of my circumstances. And I just thrived. I pushed myself to do well so that I would not have to return to LaGrange, so that I would not have to return of origin and be in a position where I continue to feel stuck. And another part of that was really like doing a lot of internal work to understand why I was the way that I was. And once I started to understand that it wasn't just that I was this bad kid, when I really understood that, yes, you have anxiety, you have depression, and I started to get the help for those things, that's when things really started to change for me, because I started to see that I was enough, even though that's something that's still a struggle. I started to see that I was enough, that someone from where I'm from could do those things, and someone from where I'm from could thrive, even though all of the circumstances and all of the things that were placed in front of them said that they couldn't.
Wow. So, you mentioned a lot there, and you mentioned help. And
Mhm.
I know for me, and you know me, is at times it's been I'm getting better at it, but to ask for help,
Okay.
it's always been an obstacle for me. But in those beginning stages, was it easy asking for that help that you knew you needed?
Um, it depends on the type of help. For me, like asking for help filling out like a form or something like that was fine. By nature, I'm a Sagittarius. I don't like asking for anything, period. So that's just, I think, normal everyday thing. But I think at that time I knew I needed it, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But present day, yeah, no, I'm not asking for anything from anyone because I don't like to, because it's too much like begging. But I knew I needed help. There were mentors that I had along the way that assisted me in like learning about things or whatever. Like I always tell people, I wish I would have gone to HBCU, but I didn't know what a HBCU was. I'm a first generation college student. Nobody in my family, my mom, I think she got her GED later in life. My dad got his GED when he was I think I was a baby or some around the time that he got his GED. And so like nobody knew how to help me navigate that. So I relied on my school counselor, Tanya Mitchell, and Dr. And David Traylor. I relied on those people to help guide me to get to the next steps. And when I was in college, I honestly reached back out a lot of times to Miss Mitchell, just to check in with her about different things because she was the first Black counselor that I ever saw, like in the LaGrange High School setting. And she was one of those that was like someone that I really, really looked up to. And she was always responsive to my emails if I had questions about different things. And I had another mentor, Kisa Davis. She goes by Erica Davis now, Dr. Erica Davis, but she was also very instrumental in kind of molding and shaping me and helping me navigate through those spaces that nobody in my family had gone through. So I had good people in my corner.
Yeah. So how do you think that affected the person we see today? Having those people in your corner. If you didn't have those people in your corner, what do you think it would have looked like?
I mean, it definitely would have been more difficult trying to navigate through spaces again. Like I went to a PWI and you just don't really kind of know what to expect going into a large college campus,
Yeah.
being in a different environment. So I think having that help was really critical for me. I don't think I wouldn't have thrived. I think that I've always just been someone that was going to figure it out, even if I didn't know how it was going to happen. But I think having the help was helpful. But without it, I think it would have just took me a little bit longer to get there. I'm very resilient. I hate that I have to be resilient, but I'm very resilient and resourceful when I need to be. And so I think I would have figured it out. It just would have been a lot more difficult because even thinking about like post my college years or whatever, like it took me a bit to even get into my master's program, because I was operating from a different place of like, oh, I just got this psychology degree and now I've arrived. And no one was there to tell me, oh, yeah, you really can't do much with a psychology degree. You really need to go back. And it wasn't until I was working in the field that I met other people that were like, yeah, you need to go back to school. If you're really going to do this, you really need to do this so that you can set yourself up. Because if you think the high school stuff and the middle school stuff was a struggle, baby, them years after college, that's when I really thought I was going to give up.
Wow. And I say this too. Yeah, I know you're not gonna give up because you're too stubborn to give up. You remind me of somebody else I know, but we're not gonna go there. But
Hmm.
I have learned that having those people in our lives that can help us. It helps us get there faster.
Hmm.
And I've learned to appreciate them because it's like their hands are like those steps for us to help us go higher and higher in places. And I ain't gonna lie, and I'm sure you can relate. It seems like the higher we get, the harder things get. and
Right.
and it sometimes feels like that when we well it does. As you get higher, that air gets thinner.
Hmm.
And it's sometimes it seems like, man, it's just easier to just go back. And
Right.
it's like, man, you know what? After all of these steps that I done walked up, it's really looking like it ain't even worth it right now. It's
Mm.
really looking like it's time to turn around. But what has been your major push to actually push through those moments to keep going forward instead of just, like, man, forget this and chuck those deuces?
Man, listen, I be ready to quit every other day. You know that. Like I just really don't, you said it. Like I'm stubborn. I cannot give up. I cannot feel like something defeated me because I wouldn't be able to live with myself. And then that takes us down a much darker path of what it would look like if I chose to give up. So for me, I mean, first and foremost, God. I mean, me and God, we be boxing. Like we go 12 straight rounds right now or whatever,
Hey,
because it's just so much going on in life. And I'm like questioning so many things right now when it comes to life. But God has definitely been in the center of that, because I don't know that I would be here if had his hand not continued to be upon me. But yeah, so being stubborn, and knowing that God is always directing my path, even when I'm not listening, even when I'm not paying attention, knowing that he is still present, still moving and shifting me. Because I tell you, it is only by his grace that I am able to continue to do the things that I do day to day, because my life is very busy, very hectic. It never stops unless I'm asleep, and I have to force myself to go to sleep, because it just never stops. So it's usually that internal drive of like, I'm not gonna let people see me fail, even when I feel like, going dark, as I say. I just cannot give other people, I can't give the haters the satisfaction of seeing me not continue to show up.
yo, we gotta shout out the haters. M- Much love to the haters, our true motivators. But
Mm,
I'm gonna throw this curveball though, and this is something God is. I'm talking about current time right now, literally
mm,
dealing with me, because just like you, I refuse to give up. I refuse to quit, and that's where relentless come from. But
mm,
now God is showing me that in your pursuit of being relentless, you also have to know when it's time to let something go. And I'm talking about in my business.
mm,
And I'm really having to look at stuff from a different picture now. In life, because it's just like, man. And and I think it takes a lot of discernment of knowing when it's time to throw in the towel and when it's not. Because some people, unlike us, at the drop of a hat, the hat just dropping. They like, man, forget this. I quit. This ain't meant to be. Or they trip over the hat. But there are certain instances where the things you're trying to take on is really tripping you up. And God say, this particular thing isn't for you.
mm,
And sometimes it's our ways, sometimes it's our mindset. I mean, if we're being honest with it, because sometimes, and I'm learning, some people don't want to see themselves, so they end up tripping up. I don't know why I'm going this way, but
mm,
somebody needs to hear this. But some people don't want to see themselves, and they end up tripping up. But then there were
mm,
some who overly see themselves, and they don't want to quit. I'm the type, I overly look at the obstacles of why I should keep going, and I don't want to quit. But God is now showing me, son, you may not need to throw in the towel for this one, and it's
mm.
hard. And that's a
Yeah,
challenge for me, because it's like, yeah, I ain't trying to give them the benefit of the doubt of me quitting.
right. Yeah. But see, I say like anything forced is unnatural. Like, not that it's gonna be easy, but
Yeah.
we can't force things in life. If something is not for you, it's just not for you. It could just be not that it's not for you. It could just be that the timing is not God's timing. We're trying to operate in something that's not yet for us. And so you just have to be able to zone in on those things. Like I was putting on an event about a year or so ago, and like nothing was coming together for it or whatever. I am very, very passionate about this project, and I will relaunch it in a different way. But I'm just at the age and stage of my life right now where I'm not gonna force something. Either it's for me, it's gonna happen, or it's not. And I don't like to beg. I'm not going to push something, But I mean, sometimes it's that we want things to happen so quickly that we're not willing to go through the process of it. And those things, yeah, those are not the things for us to quit. But sometimes things fall apart because they're not meant to be, and that's okay too. We just have to recognize it and not stay there longer than we should be.
You said a key word that I love. You said the process.
Okay.
First of all, I just gotta ask, this particular project that you was talking about. Is this something
Mhm.
that I've been asking for about 15 years? I'm just
No,
asking.
it is certainly not, because that project is not even a passion of mine or anything that's on my radar. This was actually a women's group that I was trying to do margaritas and mental health. It was an event,
I
and
remember.
it was a very big vision that I had for it. However, just the support was not there. All of the things, the dates kept getting messed up, the venue, it was just so many different components or whatever. And like I'm always I'm practical when it comes to business and finances. So if the money ain't making sense and it's not going to be something that is going to be something that I feel like it's going to be worthwhile, I'm not going to do it. Because at the end of the day, I got bills and I got things that need to be done. I want to help people, but I'm not going to do it at my own expense.
So can I go here? I just want to ask.
Yeah.
So why self-aware?
Why self-aware?
The
What?
podcast.
Why do I do it? Like,
Yeah.
what's the question? I'm
What's
confused.
yeah? What's the passion behind it? Because we know what the money behind it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, the money behind it ain't there. But at the end of the day, it's something I am passionate about. I'm passionate about mental health. I am self aware and fucked up. That is the whole premise
Yeah.
of the show. And it's being able to highlight that for other people. And I want other people to be able to see themselves in that, because so many of us feel like we look at this social media age of everybody's life is perfect and oh, they're
Yeah.
doing it and they probably really ain't doing much, but we put that out there or whatever. So for me, when it comes to self-aware and effed up, like it's in me. It's not, it's deeply ingrained in what I want to do. As a therapist, I can't see every client, but my voice can be heard around the world. And the people that I bring on are always people that I'm interested in talking to, and people that are unique, and people that I think other people can relate to. And so it's really about normalizing mental health and destigmatizing it. And I feel like so many people, especially in the Black community, have just this stigma that they refuse to let go of when it comes to mental health. And so that, what I do as a helping professional, I don't think I would ever walk away from that in some capacity, because I love it. Like, I hate doing a podcast. Let me be very clear. I hate it, but it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. And so I'm able to do that sacrifice. Like, even though the workshop that I do, the bigger picture workshop where I'm teaching therapists about how to work with Black communities and how to understand how our historical trauma shows how that is ingrained in us and how it impacts us even when we show up to therapy or whatever. I don't want to teach this workshop, but people continue to ask me about it. And it's something that's very necessary, because I want Black people to have spaces where they can go, even if it's a non-Black therapist or a non-BIPOC therapist. I want them to be able to have a space where they can be understood and where they can feel free to let their hair down and be themselves or whatever. So some things, it may not necessarily be that I want to do it. It's that I understand the assignment and I understand why it's necessary. That stuff you talking about, I'm not with it. That was a whole different season in my life, and I'm okay with letting that season go.
And I love what you said. Because I know it's a passion for you. But
Mhm.
I just want to throw it out there anyway. But and I'll say this: it's different when your passion is behind it, because a lot of people nowadays want to do stuff for the fame, the
Mhm.
attention, and all of this kind of stuff, and then their passion isn't behind it. And one thing about it, if your passion isn't behind it, and it started getting difficult and frustrating and hard, and we
Mhm.
both know how difficult and frustrations hard it gets, but it's something behind us that's called passion, that's called purpose, that continues to push us.
Mhm.
And if you don't have that, you're going to falter to the wayside. and
Yeah.
and that's why it's good to do is self-examination of yourself, to your why am I doing this. I had been talking about wanting to get back to my podcast for a long time. I've been going for a year and a half, and I missed it. And then I finally did an interview. I think I did yours. It was like start being back to back, and I started feeling that fire again,
Mm.
because that was something that I love to do. I love to pour into people. I love to empower people, and that's so different. Because if you love what you do, don't get me wrong, we want the money, but the money isn't. I'm just saying, I ain't finna put it out there and say I don't want the money. I ain't finna put
No, I
myself out
feel
there.
you.
But at the same time, I can still do this for free and still give my all to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a lot of people out there with podcasts that don't have passion. There's a lot of celebrities out there with podcasts. People just listen to the podcast just because it's a celebrity, and it may not be imparting anything. It's salacious, it's gossipy, and that's what people tend to flock to. And that's also discouraging for a lot of people that do it from a
Yeah.
place of passion versus I'm doing this for this bag. So for me, I think that whatever I'm driven by is always going to be something that I'm passionate about. Because other than that, I wouldn't get up to go to work if there wasn't something passionate to me about what I do. Now, my full time job, that's a different story. I don't want to go there ever. But my therapy, even when I don't feel like getting up, like I'm going to do it because this is a part of who I am. I had a person on my podcast recently ask me, like, who are you? It's the same thing you did earlier or whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm a therapist. And they were like, no, you are a person that helps people. And I was like, I can roll with that because it's not a title. It's just is inherently who I am, and I've accepted that. If I'm not helping people, I don't feel fulfilled. I don't want to get out of bed in the morning because life and finding when we go down that existential hole of like the meaning of life and what all of this means, like I wouldn't get out of bed every day, and that's period.
Yo, I love that question that person asked you because I tell people, I ask them, who are you? And a lot of people like to say, brother, sister, or minister. They like to bring up the titles. But
Mm-hmm.
when you strip all of that away, the core down to it, who are you? And some people don't know how to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that is a deep question, and for me, sometimes it changes. Well, I ain't gonna say it changes, but it develops,
Yeah.
and it grows. At one point, I used to feel that, you know, I was one type of speaker, but now I feel like I'm an empowering person because
Mm-hmm.
it's a fire in me, and that fire, is contagious, and I empower other people. I ignite the fire in other people. So, and a lot of people can't ask it when it gets down to the core of it. Move aside the wife, move aside again the sister, the friend, all of
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. And it's not an easy question to answer.
It's not. Imagine asking people that in therapy and they like, and I'm like, you know what? Just do this little journal assignment because I'm not about to play with you today. For
Yeah,
real, for real. But it's a difficult question to answer because we have to like strip all of that away in order for us to truly be authentic with ourselves and to honor who we are to the
yeah,
core because those titles mean absolutely nothing, especially when you in the grave.
yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this question before we transition.
Hmm.
At this point in your life right now, what would you say to the younger version of you, the little girl? What would you tell her right now? The adult you.
I would tell her, like, for real, keep focusing on your mission, keep focusing on the things that you know you're called to do in this life. Let go of other people and their expectations of you and focus in on what it is that you truly desire. Know that people are going to judge you, they are going to criticize you, they may not even support you. A lot of people that you think might support you aren't going to support you, but it's okay because your greater is coming. So all you need to do is be yourself authentically, continue to love yourself, and above all, know that you are enough.
I love it. Why do you think it's so that is an important thing now to speak back to our younger self?
Yeah, I think because we're not really truly speaking to our younger selves. It's impossible. What we're doing is we're speaking to that younger version of us and that part of us that is unhealed, that part of us that continues to go back to the past. We're speaking to ourselves, but we're formalizing it in the image of this younger person because that person is still within us. That person still has unresolved things. And really everything that I said to the younger version of me I'm saying that to me right now. I'm talking about things that I'm dealing with right now because she's still in there. It's not this external person that we're speaking of. This is really ourselves that we really haven't touched into or tapped into. And so I think it's important to speak into our lives, to affirm ourselves and to remind ourselves that life isn't fair, life is hard, and that doesn't mean that we should give up because we've already survived every moment up until the moment that we're in, and we can continue to survive as long as we keep moving forward. So it's important to address those hurt, unhealed parts of ourselves so that we can continue on our healing journey.
Straight bars.
I don't know
Hey,
what that means.
I'm starting to feel this air horn. No, but that was seriously, that was powerful. I loved it. And
Mm,
I can relate because I tell you it's three parts of me. There's Lil
mm,
Ken, there's Crazy K, and then there's K Noel.
mm.
It's the boy, the middle child, and the grown man. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. So what we're gonna do now? We're gonna transition. Man,
Oh,
I
boy.
meant to say something about this before we started recording, but we'll talk about that one later. So
Mm,
in the form that you filled out, I asked you to list your favorite speakers.
mm-hmm.
So bear with me because I had to kind of rush through it real quick because I had just literally just got home. So
Okay.
I picked something from your favorite speakers. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna play this clip and then we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna talk about it.
Okay.
All right, so let's go.
Whenever you are overwhelmed by life, retreat to prayer. It is a place of refuge. And let your lonely places be turned into holy spaces. Let your lonely places be turned into holy spaces. So in this time of loneliness where I feel like I'm all by myself, I'll turn this into a holy space by inviting the Holy Spirit to come into my darkness, to come into my loneliness, to come into my depression. Allow your lonely places to become holy spaces.
All right, so that is from one of your favorite speakers.
Mm.
I'm sure you didn't expect that.
Yeah, of course not.
But just talk to me. What does that speak to you?
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how long ago that sermon was, but it honestly kind of speaks to where I am right now. And really, I've been going through a season in my life where it's interesting. The Sunday before my father had his massive stroke, I went to Bishop Bronner's church. He is one of my favorite pastors that I've ever sat under. And I was on this journey this year of trying to get back into the practice of going to church and at least fellowshipping once a month. And so I started in January, February. I went to Word of Faith and sat under Dr. Bronner, and he preached a very powerful sermon. So I find it interesting that you played that clip because when I went to church on that Sunday and then what happened that Tuesday night happened, it really kind of um pushed me away from God because I was like, God, I'm back on this journey of trying to get back into the practice of assembling with the saints. And then I start this and then I lose my dad. And so I'm mad at God, right? So hearing this clip from, a man I sat under a couple of days before this happened with my father, and hearing him talk about kind of, in those places of loneliness, because I felt very lonely since that, not that I don't have people around me. So I just find it interesting that, you chose that particular clip and talking about leaning into the Holy Spirit and leaning into God, because when I went through that experience, it turned me away from God.
Yeah. Um. Wow. For me, and I'm gonna be a little bit more transparent because the other day I felt like God was telling me, to start being more transparent. Um. Last year, I was pretty much on that same journey back in 2022,
Mm-hmm.
leading into January, February of 2023, when it seemed like my life came crashing down.
Mm-hmm.
And that loneliness, the journey I've been on.
Yeah.
And even to the point of later on that year wanting to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And that loneliness and knowing and understanding the importance of letting God in, because the Bible says even in Sheol he's there with us. So even in the place of hell, when it feels like we're going through hell, our life is going through hell, knowing that he's still with us. And sometimes it feels like, okay, God ain't with me right now, and it's challenging, it's frustrating. You want to throw everything at God, but yes, you're in a lonely place, but at that moment it's just you and him. And
Mm-hmm.
as of late, I've been really referring to Jacob, and I tell people that, and I'm learning the importance of that season where we feel alone, because that is when he's there with us, and we're in a wrestle with him, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, God, I want to quit. God, I want to give up. And Jacob was wrestling with God, and he was like, I'm not going to let go until you bless me. And he
Mm-hmm.
gave Jacob a new identity. Man, okay, I'm going there now.
Yeah,
So,
you definitely are
so,
going there.
yeah. So when we're in that moment of feeling lonely, or in that loneliness, where our identity for us is saying, God, I want to quit. God, I want to commit suicide. But he was saying, let me in. And sometimes it feels like that God has to break us a little bit. Sometimes it feels like he has to tap us a little bit, because he's saying, what I'm doing, I'm changing your identity now. Yes, I know it hurts right now, but I am a comforter. Yes, I know it's painful right now, but I am a healer. Yes, I know it feels like everything is going wrong, but I am a restorer. He is trying to change our identity in that moment. Yeah, again, it feels lonely and it hurts. And you're going to have to cry it out. You're going to have to do whatever you got to do. You're going to have to say some words. But at the end of the day, what God is trying to do, he is trying to change your identity. Man, come on.
Listen, I ain't with it. I'm tell you can wrestle with him like Jacob, and I'm gonna tell you, like I told him the other day, I ain't Joe. Don't consider your servant Tree, because yeah, I ain't there, but I'm working through it. But
Yeah.
I feel you, but I ain't with you. You know what I'm talking about?
No, trust me, I get it. Because, I mean, that one there
Mm-mm.
was fresh off the press.
Yeah, me and God still wrestling, not like you, not like him and Jacob, but like, sir, back off, stop,
Yeah. Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Yeah. It's challenging.
Yeah,
We say, no matter what we're saying, we're going to still say what we're saying. He's just like, okay.
yeah. Period.
Yeah. I think he is the most unbothered person by anything that we say. So,
That's fair, but I'm just saying, God, give a sister a break. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, I feel you.
I'm relentless, but nah, I'm good. I need a break.
So, last words. I'm gonna let you just speak life into the people, pour into the people, however you want to do it. Just speak to the people.
What you want me to say to the people, kid? Like what? What? That you just
Hey, just talk to them. This
yeah.
is your moment.
Gotcha. So, if you're listening to this episode, I just want to say it doesn't matter what you're going through right now. Know that even if you are in a space like I am right now, where you're questioning God and you're going back and forth with Him because you're wondering why things in your life aren't going the way that you desire for them to go, just know that even in those dark moments, even when it feels like He's not there, He is still there. But the God within you, the power that is within you, whether you look at that as your ego, your super ego, or whether you get technical and you look at it as the Holy Spirit within you. Don't give up. Keep pushing, and just know that your ladder will be greater than your past. You can continue to move on. You can continue to grow. And if you're in a situation where you don't feel like you can keep going, if you're in a situation where you're feeling suicidal and you need additional support outside of the church or outside of your friends, make sure that you reach out to your resources. If you're listening to this and you're dealing with suicidal thoughts, or you're dealing with depression, you need help with mental health issues, make sure you contact your local mental health resources. We got resources like NAMI. We got 988, which you can dial from your phone, and you can reach a crisis responder in your local region to be able to help connect you with resources. But just don't go through it alone. We have too much out there that can actually help you get control of your life. So regardless of what your situation is, get connected with someone that you feel can be a part of your tribe and support, because doing life alone is very lonely, and being lonely is a very dangerous place to be in. So take care of yourselves, take care of your mental health. And if you need support, always feel like if you need to reach out to me, you can always reach out and contact me. I'm very reachable out in these social media and in the World Wide Web in general.
And I just want to add to this, because I was just thinking as you was talking, the importance of having the right people around you. Because let me tell y'all, I got people in my corner that'll go off on me. And and she happens to be one of them that would really go off on me, but it's always been love. And and I can really say, in this season of my life, if I ever doubted it, not saying that I did, but if I ever did, I can see how much you love me, how much you care for me. And it's much appreciated. I don't take it for granted, you being my sister. You know, I tell you that often, you know, how much I appreciate you, and I really don't take that for granted. So I'm publicly telling you thank you.
Man, go with all this mushy stuff I hear in these streets. You know, I don't accept compliments, but you're welcome, and thank you for being who you've been in my life for the past 20 years as well.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been 20 years. I'm getting old.
Yeah, it's getting closer to 30 years now, but yeah, we gonna stick with the 20 because I'm only
20 sounds nice. We're gonna stick
yeah.
with the 20 plus.
We gonna
20
stick with
plus.
20.
Yeah, it sounds nicer. So,
Yeah, you're right.
so where can everybody find you on social media?
All right. So the best way to reach me is to go to uniquedestiny.org. It has all of my information on there. You can also follow me on all social media platforms under the handle at Tree The LPC. If you are interested in getting connected with my new book that I released recently called The Minding My Own Mental Health Self-Care Journal, you can purchase that at my website as well. In addition to checking out the Self Aware and Effed Up podcast. We have our season currently going on, and it'll be going on through October of 2024, each week on Wednesdays. You can also check that out. And I believe the IG handle for that is at Self Aware and Fucked Up podcast. So you can definitely check that out as well. But yeah, connect with me. Look forward to hearing from you guys.
Yeah, y'all make sure y'all check out her podcast. It's really fire. Check out everything that she mentioned. Support my sister, man, for real.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, I just want you to know I appreciate you. I even thank you for taking the time out to interview with me today. It's always a pleasure. Now y'all see why if don't nobody else gonna be on every season, I think it's her and one other person that's gonna be on every season. So yeah, always much gratitude.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh yeah. And as for all of my listeners, y'all already know the drill. No matter what time of the day it is, whether it's morning, noon, or night, hey, y'all make the best of each day. Leave no days left behind. And more than everything, be relentless. I'm K Noel, your relentless motivator, and we are out.
Hey, aren't you glad? I'm bringing it back. My chains in the past. confidence